something I wanted to bring up, which is the recent raise that you completed, and big congrats on that, by the way. So I wanted to ask, about that, and when that decision was to raise, and just learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story behind it. So to start things off, not a fan of celebrating fundraising because really what I did was I signed on the dotted line. Like, I'm gonna help hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs get acquired. Like, this is my Mona Lisa. This is the business like I am absolutely in love with, and I want to swing for the fences. And for me, the decision was a little easier because I've had a couple wins in the past. I don't have to worry about like a mortgage or like really anything financially. So I feel more comfortable taking these big swings. I always recommend to founders. I had a tweet recently, yesterday, that just said, like, I highly recommend bootstrapping a company to a few million revenue, sell that business, and then swing for the fences on your next business. Like, business ideas are endless. And so don't fall in love with your business and think you're going to hand it down to your children, because you're definitely not. You're going to be like, business apps as an example has been disrupted like 8 times over and over and over. Like, faster app builder, like, there's probably another app builder you can think of that is much better. um Got a question here. Let me tell you, does that change the dynamics of fundraising with wins on your belt? Absolutely. It definitely makes it easier to fundraise because you've shown that you're not going to make a lot of mistakes that first time founders make, because you know kind of already have those battle scars and you kind of know the ones to avoid. But the way the round came together was, Jeremy Levine, I've known him for about 6 years. Met him at In and Out. Didn't know who he was at the time. He just needed to ride to the airport. And Jeremy Levine, he flies under the radar, but he's a gangster. Like, he sits on the board of Shopify, Yelp, Pinterest, probably Google. I don't know. He's the most humble, like, helpful investor I could have ever asked for. So I optimized for the relationship, didn't optimize for valuation. And then I really wanted involved founder of AngelList. So got him involved, and Andreas Klinger, who's the founder of Remote First Capital. Because really what we're trying to do is, you have Product Hunt for discovery, AngelList for investing, and then I see MicroAcquire for exits, the end of, the founder journey. And then after that, we had so many people reach out to invest in MicroAcquire prior to that. So that negotiation with Jeremy, I turned him down like 3 times. I said, no, I'm just going to bootstrap this one. And then he kind of just said a one-liner that kind of hooked me. He was like, listen, Andrew, like, I really want to work with you. Like, you're really onto something big here. And I promise you, I will add 10% of value for your business, and I'll give you $2.2 million. So we raised 2.8 at a 22 million post. And I was like, that sounds pretty fair. And he definitely has added way more than 10% of value. So we went back to investors that showed interest, because I also wanted to have a big group of entrepreneurs on the cap table, for deal flow, for feedback, for credibility, and just early supporters of the product. And this isn't to say that MicroAcquire is like the most amazing company, but a lot of our users are angel investors. They are venture capitalists. They are private equity individuals. And so I kind of just made a list of like my dream team investors, people that I really thought would add a lot of value to the business. And not a single person said no. So we raised an additional 4.1 million in about a week, which is crazy. And very, very humbling as well to see And that was a moment where I was like, wow, so we're like, the startup community really wants this. And I owe it to, founders across the globe to give this my best. And so, sure, it's on a little bit of equity, but you know, I I believe this to be something that can truly change lives. Like we want to pay for weddings, we want to pay for down payments on houses, we want to pay for, all this stuff that like we will pay off debt, like, buy your mom a house, like all the stuff you do when you get acquired. We have the opportunity to help entrepreneurs do that and educate them. So when they go and talk to buyers, you know, I always say as an entrepreneur, you're at such an information and experience disadvantage when you're talking to potential acquirers, where for them, it's Tuesday. Like they're looking at 50 different companies, but for you, it's the most important event of your life. Like you're freaking out, you're nervous. Every word you say, you're like, should I say that? Should I not say that? Like, I've been there. Like literally, I've typed out emails during acquisitions where I'm like, I'm going to sleep on this one. It's such an emotional process. And so we want to educate entrepreneurs on like, what is due diligence? What are the legal steps? How do I prepare? How do I get more offers? How do I attract buyers? So I've created a whole course. If anybody wants to check that out, Mike, I can send you the link. And we're going to keep building on that in terms of like common deal structures, how to value your SaaS company. Also applies to marketplaces. We sell a ton of marketplaces on MicroAcquire. Yeah, so total capital raise 6.9 million. We're stopping there. And the cool part I do want to add though. So yeah, raising money, cool, blah blah blah. Not cool. Don't recommend raising money. Do not do it. Just don't do it. Because the longer you wait with bootstrapping, uh, you want to raise money when you feel like you have a rocket and you're putting gas in that rocket fuel, and it goes up. You do not want to raise money when you're raising the money to build the rocket. That's not good. So I felt confident, like, okay, there's something here. Like deal flow is through the roof. Total revenue of startups combined on MicroAcquire has passed 500 million. So we're really starting to, become one of the biggest, acquisition marketplaces, and we want to accelerate that growth. So it made sense.